All right, I'm ready to go play in the snow. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. And I'm turning to a child this weekend. Because just like most good little Texas boys, my childhood had a dearth of snow. For people with low vocabularies, that means there wasn't very much of it. And I was always jealous of the kids on TV that got to get in snowball fights and build a snow fort and build a snowman. And man, I never got to do any of that. Like maybe 4 times in my life, I got to actually throw snowballs and build a snowman. So I'm going to go out there, and I know it's not going to be anything big. I know we're not going to be walking around in like 2 feet of snow, but for us, this is as close as we get to Frozen.
Come on, let's go and play.
We're going to sing this song a whole bunch, just playing around in the yard. I got my new bullwhip from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. We're going to be bullwhipping snowballs. How about that? Put a Texas twist on it. Yeah, I hope we get to build a snowman. But also on WBAP, I'm on call. Brad's on call. Trainer, you on call this weekend? There's a bunch of us on call for if things start going south, like if electricity goes out or there's some other compounding issues. We'll break in with live coverage if it's warranted over the weekend. So, if you had plans and they're all canceled, you got nothing better to do, check in on WBAP. We'll let you know when things are going to get back to normal and where the safe stuff is and what's going on with the roads and whatnot. So stick around with that. Also, I'm going to spend pretty much the whole show. We'll stop off for an excellent episode of Garrett's World. But for most of the show, it's just going to be about prep. We're going to give you winter driving tips. We're going to talk about how the electric grid is more robust than it was 5 years ago. We already have some lines at grocery stores and other services. We're talking about where propane was at earlier. I went to the grocery store over here. There was a little bit of panic buying. It wasn't completely bare at the bread, but most of the bread was gone. Most of the toilet paper was gone. About half of the paper towels were gone. And the other thing that was maybe about half gone was the little bottled waters. And I saw a lady just packed up with those big 48 packs of Ozarka. She had like 6 of them piled up over the top of the basket. Like, what are you doing? Are you going to take a bath with that? But in the interest of what probably affects most people right now concerning the weather is flights are already being canceled at DFW and Love Field. And you can go ahead and see tomorrow that hundreds of flights are already announced canceled for tomorrow as well. Chris over at WFAA had the report this morning.
Massive cancellations tomorrow. As I was coming into DFW today here at Terminal D, I checked the departure and arrival board. There's some disruption, but certainly nothing like they're expecting tomorrow. As you take a look right now, you can see not a lot of lines here at the security checkpoint. However, everyone kind of bracing for tomorrow when we've already seen more than 1,000 cancellations. In fact, according to FlightAware, of the 1,600 cancellations across the country tomorrow, most of them are here at DFW, roughly split between departures and arrivals. They told us earlier in the week they were tracking this storm, getting ready to treat the taxiways and runways when needed. Most of the major airlines have already announced they are waiving the change fees, the rebooking fees for passengers scheduled to fly this weekend. It's not just here at DFW and Love Field, but several major airports expected to be blanketed by this storm. Speaking of Love Field, we're keeping an eye on the situation there. A lot like DFW, they said that they would be watching the storm, treating their runways and taxiways when needed. We checked FlightAware, about 100 cancellations tomorrow at Love Field. Of course, that's a much smaller airport.
No offense, Love Field, but boy, if you were traveling and now you're stuck here and you were going to get out of town, now you just reluctantly have to build a snowman this weekend. You want to be flying out somewhere else, pulling a Ted Cruz, going to Laguna Beach or whatever. That's such a weird criticism. Hey, if I'm going to be here stuck shivering in a trailer without power for 3 days, my senator better be next door. What kind of sense does that make? Also coming up in the next segment, we will get an update from Texas Department of Transportation. If you have any advice for your fellow Texans as we get ready for the snowstorm, 800-288-9227. This is Tim in Arlington. You're on WBAP. Hey, Tim.
Hey, I just calling to let you know that it's actually mixing in sleet now with the rain, bouncing off my windshield right at the Texas Stadium here in Arlington.
All right. I'm sorry, I get excited for such things.
Yeah, me too. It doesn't happen too often here, but man, it's a blessing to see when we don't get it very often.
Well, I did my own little experiment. Walked to the grocery store that's just around the corner here from the American Airlines Center, and there was precipitation, but it was all 100% liquid. There was no little pebble in there. So is that what you're getting? Are you getting the little beads, little ice beads with the rain?
Yes, the ice beads with the rain bouncing off the windshield. And it just started. I just walked out. I'm right across the street from the Texas Stadium, AT&T Stadium, in the Walmart parking lot, and it's coming down pretty good right now.
Any accumulation that you see, Tim, in Arlington?
Uh, on the windshield, it's intermittent with the rain, so it's just bouncing off with the rain right now. No accumulations as of yet, but it's starting to mix.
Okay. What about in the grass? Do you see any of it turning white, or is it just melting the second it hits?
It's melting pretty much the second it hits in the water right now.
All right. Well, that's still pretty exciting. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing it with us,
yeah.
Tim. Anybody else have some reports of snow or some other form of ice falling out of the sky? I'd love to hear it. If you do have accumulation, I know some of you people are listening up in like Graham or Wichita Falls, or Elizabeth from Electra. If you're listening and y'all have accumulation going on, I would like to see it. Whoever shows me the picture of white stuff on the ground first wins. You can send it to Parker at WBAP.com or James at WBAP.com. One of those. But coming up next, you're going to get an update on the situation with the streets, and they've already been pouring pickle juice on there for the last couple of days, and they're expected to be busy all weekend. Keeping your roads safe will keep you safe next. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Stay warm this weekend. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm getting pretty excited because we already got our first report of ice falling out of the sky. It's going to snow. Everybody panic. No, we're going to have some fun. Tila Grant from Texas Department of Transportation is on with us, talking about how you guys are getting ready for the road. We got an update from you guys yesterday, and I saw some of the lines of pickle juice on I-30 yesterday. So y'all been at this for, I don't know, at least 24 hours. How's prep going, Tila? So we talk about the salt trucks that are throwing down brine, and I was talking to someone else from TxDOT earlier today, and I learned that you guys mix it yourself. So do you have special formulas for different types of roads or different areas? So when we talk about the bridges, we all agree that that's probably the most dangerous thing we're going to encounter once things get icy. Do you have any advice on that front? So these brine trucks, what do they do the other 360 days a year? Oh, okay. You know what? I think I've seen the little water squirter guys when they're building a new road in the summer, and I guess they got to cool it off real quick or something like that. All right. Anything I'm not asking about that you would like the general public to know before we get all snowed in this weekend? Do you keep a blanket in your car? I hear that piece of advice. All year round. So you probably don't need it as much in August, but it's understandable. All right. Well, thank you very much. This is Tila from the Texas Department of Transportation, keeping you safe over the crazy weather. Thank you, Tila Grant. So we talked about how to stay safe with the roads. Let's talk about how to take care of your winter driving tips from WFAA.
Of course, I'm coming from years of talking about winter weather, so we want to keep you safe. As far as winter driving tips go, allow extra travel distance between you and vehicles in front of you if you do need to travel. Also, give yourself plenty of extra time for your commuting. You do not want to rush it. Take it slow and be safe. Bridges, ramps, overpasses, beware. Those elevated surfaces freeze first. So you will likely deal with slick and icy conditions there first. Again, we're talking about tomorrow through Monday with those dicey roads expected. Even if the roads look fine, we are still urging you to slow down because black ice, that will get you, like Janelle was just talking about as well. So those Friday to Monday driving tips, think before you go, clear off your vehicle before you start driving. And as far as skidding goes, you want to be careful not to accelerate or brake too hard when you're driving in winter weather, Mark.
Yeah, one thing that's changed from what we were telling you just yesterday is you can expect the roads to still be bad Monday, and they might even be bad going into Tuesday. Because Monday we were expecting more of a thaw out than what we're going to get. So depending on where you're at in the WBAP listening area, I know I keep having to throw in that caveat, but it's going to be a vastly different experience for people in Palestine versus Graham, or Wichita Falls or somewhere up there. But we were expecting a little bit more of a warm up on Monday. It's only going to get to 29 degrees now. So don't expect any thawing whatsoever on Monday. Tuesday, it'll get up to 43, and that after we have that degree for hours could get things back to normal, but then it could refreeze again going into Tuesday night, and then we may be done with this for a little bit longer. But the low every single night for the next 10 days, I'm looking at the 10-day forecast, the low is under freezing all the way through next Sunday. So refreezing is always going to be a possibility overnight, but it will finally warm up to start melting all this goo we're about to get. It won't happen till Tuesday afternoon. So that's the new timetable that we're dealing with. Also, we're going to have special guest Jerry Reynolds come on at 3:15 to give you more tips on how to take care of your car. We got another report here. The Texas electric grid has gotten numerous upgrades since we had the snowpocalypse in 2021. So if you do see some outages, it's not going to be from a lack of capacity or generation. It's going to be because some tree branch got too much ice on it and snapped off and took a power line with it. Other than that, things sound good.
The state has been laser focused on reforms after Winter Storm Uri. So I can tell you what basically the state has done. They have tripled the emergency services that they carry on hand at all times. In the event of a weather condition, of an outage on the system, in the event of a major transmission line going down, to where we can compensate for any fluctuation, any disruption in power flow. We've also laid on we've paid generators to keep backup fuel on site in the event that natural gas supplies are disrupted. We have robust demand response systems, and we also have quadrupled the number of battery systems across the state that are laid on, stored power, ready and available to either market services or the market itself to respond instantaneously if there are any power disruptions. So the defenses that the state has at all times, and especially in the event of a known weather event like the one we're about to experience, is robust and layered. So I think Texans can sleep well that there are contingencies in place, capabilities in place to respond if anything happens.
Okay, Will McCann.
All right, so that was the update from WFAA talking to a former public utilities commissioner of Texas. Coming up next, a lot of things are canceled this weekend. The Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo is not. You'll get that update coming up on News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Who's ready to play in the snow? I know I am. This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We're just getting you ready. Super rare event is happening this weekend. Well, it's already happening in some areas. I had a report on the ground in Arlington at the beginning of the show where a guy says that there's already ice falling out of the sky, and that is in the Metroplex now, so it's official. It's kind of snowing-ish. I don't know. My kids are excited. I'm pretty excited. I did go to the grocery store over here to see if there was some panic buying. Not too bad. I saw some other stuff online earlier today and even last night of grocery stores that have been wiped out of bread, wiped out of toilet paper, and wiped out of bottled water. What is our deal with toilet paper? We did this in COVID. Remember when everyone went out and they bought 30 miles worth of toilet paper? People, look, when the you know what goes down, they're going to be ready. Get it? Because it's the kind of bad word. It was, all right, bad joke. Let's talk about some of the lines that are forming before the snow gets here. WFAA has a report.
So what's the plan for the weekend?
Imagine all the things we'll wait in line for.
I hope they have enough.
Especially when that one thing means everything.
I've called 5-6 different stores and they don't have it.
And we're the only place that has propane.
Here in Plano, they say there isn't another place with propane within 40 miles.
The line is still going, like it's still
At the back, about where it starts now.
Hunter got the call this morning from his granddad.
Well, this is a 100-pound propane tank.
He needed propane for the RV.
He took care of me this long. I figured I'd take care of him this long. Texas hospitality.
The slow roll to the front of the line where Manish and his partner are scrambling. Normally, these 2,000-gallon tanks are refilled once a week. But lately,
A day.
1 day.
1 day.
Some people have been waiting more than an hour. The slightest movement in the line,
feels like a mile.
as unpredictable as, well, you know the rest.
It's hit or miss, Texas weather.
And it's gonna be cold, real cold.
The winter storm that hasn't even hit yet, unless the food and propane lines count.
It's unforgivable sometimes. Goes through my soul.
It's going to be cold, measuring in single digits. Propane is a lifeline for those in line.
So cooking, heating, everything.
At the front, looking good.
Some are getting just enough to last 3 to 4 days. Kelly Farmer drove in from Greenville for this.
The struggle to find it, like it's desperation.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
And when we are desperate, we will drive anywhere, wait however long,
Thanks for spending my birthday with me.
and do
Oh, it's your birthday?
what is needed.
Happy birthday.
In Plano, I'm Jobin Puniker.
So I played that this morning. I did the shift from 9 to 11, and I had a few people calling in, naming some other places in the Metroplex and surrounding areas that did have propane. And there were several confirmed reports of propane being in supply at a Love's truck stop. There was one in Van. There was one up on 380. There was another propane shop that was between, what was it, McKinney and Princeton on 380, if I remember correctly. Excuse me. So if you do need to find propane, the one scary part about that story is they're like, this is the only place in a 40-mile radius. Well, that's what someone said in that parking lot. That turned out to be quite easily surmounted by the callers to WBAP this morning. Also, you might have noticed that all week this week, I was at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. So Monday through Thursday, I was there. I'm in the studio now over here at the American Airlines Center. But I'll be there Monday through Thursday of next week, weather permitting, and then Monday through Thursday of the week after that. But this guy that was on WFA noon show, Matt Brockman, he was on the James Show when I was at the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo on Tuesday. And he was saying on Tuesday's James Show that they don't close. They might shut the exhibit hall, but the show must go on. The rodeo is going to happen. And so the WFAA sent a guy out there to ask how they're getting ready.
Safety's priority one for us here, so for both animals and our guests. So here shortly, we'll deploy crews that will be putting out sand and salt on the pedestrian walkways and on the streets, right here on the complex and the surrounding streets. Clear that clear that ice out of the way and get things ready for people to be able to traverse across the complex and do so in a safe manner.
And you were telling me when the stock show's in January every year, in January and early February, so you're used to having to deal with weather occasionally. That being said, there's a lot of livestock out here. There may be some folks at home that are thinking about the animals.
Sure.
But they're in good shape here, you were telling me.
I'm glad they are thinking about them. We're thinking about them. Bear in mind, these are animals that come off the farmer ranch. They're genetically predisposed to deal with whatever Mother Nature may bring them. But when they get here, they're in a building. They've got clean, dry straw. They've got plenty of water. There's electricity there. Everything that animal needs to be, well, there's just a lot of creature comforts that they're going to enjoy.
Ooh, he was nice and diplomatic about that. I would have had a hard time. I would have had if you grew up with animals, and I grew up on a horse ranch. I'm not really into horses, but my parents were, so that's where I had to grow up. It's so offensive when someone who lives in like a third floor walk up in downtown Denton, who has some liberal arts degree in the humanities, is going to try and tell you how to take care of animals. Like, bro, these are my animals. I paid for them, or, I've grown them since they were born. It has cost me money every day to feed them. I'm not just going to let them die in the cold, genius. This is a huge investment for me. Plus, this is an animal that has a name and a personality, and I love it. And I would let it sleep in my bedroom if I had to. It's just such an insulting thing. Oh, we're worried about the animals out here. On top of that, these are animals. These are animals that didn't evolve in climate control. They didn't evolve in barns or houses or anything. They evolved outside. They went through hundreds of thousands of years of just being exposed to the elements, and somehow they're still here. No, animals know how to endure the cold. You know how I know? Because they're still animals. We get cold all the time. Look up there, like on TV, it's even colder up north. They're talking about like at the in the Great Lakes, it's like negative 20 degrees in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan or something crazy like that. Animals are surviving in that. I know I would die if you left me out in negative 20 degrees. You would die if you got left out in negative 20 degrees. And, some animals aren't going to make it if they're already in a weakened condition or not suited for their environment, but most of them are. Or they would all be gone by the time spring came around. Canada would just be quiet. There would be nothing alive there. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Yes, sensitive people on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, please go ahead and give some condescending advice to the people of the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo on how to best take care of horses. Silliness. All right, well, that was fun. Coming up next, you're going to hear how the national media is reporting on the snowstorm because, we're all digging in our own belly button concerned about how it affects us here, but this is a really big storm that is going to stretch for about 2/3 of the population of America is going to be affected by this over the weekend. You'll hear what the AP has to say about it next. If you got any advice for your neighbors, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, homeowners, James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. They have an entire section on their website for storm damage. And the bad news is some of y'all are probably going to need it after this weekend. Some of you are going to get some hail, or might get some hail. Some of you might get enough snow and accumulation on your roof that it causes parts to sag or weak parts that were already compromised to finally fail when things thaw out. If you notice any leaking, if you notice any spots in the ceiling, if you have any question about, this flashing looks like it's kind of separating itself from the chimney stack, or I see some openings at the bottom there, or you're missing some shingles. Blue Ribbon Roofing can help you with that. And you don't just have to believe me. Go on their website and check out the storm damage section, but also if on the front page, just scroll down till you get almost to the very bottom. And they have a whole ton of comments from recent clients. Like here's a few from December. Oscar says, very smooth process from initial claim through completion. Jeff says it's rare to find a company that delivers both top-tier craftsmanship, genuinely great customer service, but look no further. Blue Ribbon does exactly that. I highly recommend them to anyone needing roof repair or replacement. You'll be in great hands. I'm not making this up. Go look for it. It's on the website. 5-star reviews right there. And the most important thing I think they do is not only do they give you a good roof, but they help you deal with that insurance company. And that's just not really a pleasant thing to do at all. So go to blueribbondfw.com if you suspect you have any problems. To get a free inspection, go to blueribbondfw.com. Are you ready for the snow? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. You're listening to The James Show. I'm ready for the snow. I mean, I think. I'm ready to drive home and go play in the snow with my kiddos. But the weather, always hard to predict, and the forecasts always move a little bit. So let's get an update here from the National Weather Service. Brennan Dara's coming back on The James Show. And Brennan, I really thought the freezing stuff would be falling out of the sky by now. I do have a report of some frozen precipitation happening in the Metroplex just a little bit west of me. But when are we going to start seeing ice? All the rest of us going to start seeing ice fall out of the sky?
Yeah, so right now, actually, a lot of the Metroplex is in the 40s, so we're still seeing a lot of cold rain out and about, and that's going to be expected through the evening. Not expecting to drop below freezing till around midnight tonight, give or take a couple of hours. Unfortunately, snow is not going to be the name of the game. With the storm system, we're going to have a period of freezing rain and then transition to sleet, and then it could sleet off and on all the way through Saturday night before maybe you start to see some light snow Sunday morning.
So we might get actual snow on Sunday.
Maybe.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Well, this thing seems to be moving slower than it was at the beginning of the week. So it's getting here a little later. It's probably going to last a little bit longer.
It is.
How long do you think before the precipitation dries up?
Yeah, so right now we're looking at around noon on Sunday for the end of precipitation.
How long do we expect there to be frozen precipitation on the ground?
So we're going to stay below freezing for at least a couple of days after the end of precipitation. So we won't get above freezing likely until Tuesday afternoon. So Tuesday afternoon until Wednesday is when we'll start to see the melting of whatever's fallen on the ground.
Brad Barton, our meteorologist on the morning show, was saying that there may be another, what do you call it, upper level disturbance or something to that effect, coming by in a few days after we get done with this one. Are we going to get hit twice?
So we are watching the potential for another storm system next weekend. However, that is still far enough out to where the details are pretty unclear. Things are going to change. But we're just focusing on getting through this winter storm first, and then there will still be, several days between this and any potential subsequent storm to kind of get our bearings and prepare for the next one, should we need to.
I also heard on the morning show that the northwest part of our listening area, we're based out of Dallas, is going to get maybe up to 5 inches of some kind of accumulation, a mix of sleet and ice and snow. In the far southeast part of our listening area, maybe 1 inch at the most. Are those still numbers that sound about right?
Yeah, so that's still pretty accurate up in the northwest, a mix of snow and sleet up to 3 to 5 inches. Once you get to the southeast, it'll most likely only be sleet. So if you see an inch or so of sleet after the freezing rain ends, that's going to be what's most likely going to happen.
Is there going to be enough here in Dallas that I can make a snowman?
You can at least make a small snowman.
I'm going to make a mud man if I have to. All right. Brendan Dara, thank you very much for the update from the National Weather Service. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Get back to work. Go look at a Doppler radar or something. Do they still use that? Or is that like a speak and spell or 56K modem? I may be way off on that one. All right. Do you have any advice for your fellow Texans in the upcoming snow? Look, I know they have different words for it. I'm just going to call it all snow. If something frozen comes out of the sky, I'm calling it snow. So sleet, ice, freezing rain, whatever y'all are talking about. Do you have any advice on how to get through it? Stay safe, have fun, take care of your car, your pets, whatever. We'll continue with that and advice for your other neighbors, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, more reports from the national media on the big snowstorm coming up this weekend. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Who's ready to play in the snow? It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Because on one hand, my 10-year-old daughter's never even seen snow. My other kids have only seen it once. And we don't have a whole lot of memories playing in the snow. So this is going to be a good memory day for the old Parker family. But a lot of us, you still have to be out and about. If you can't just hunker down and stay home and eat your snow snacks, be safe out there. We're sharing advice with everyone back and forth. Let me show you what the AP is saying about this, because I know what it's like. I grew up here. Whenever the AP or national news talk about snow, I usually just tune out. Like, this never applies to me. They're like, oh, look, it's snowing in Michigan. It's like, oh, yeah, wow, that's news. It's snowing in Michigan in January. I'm shocked. Oh, look at this huge snowstorm in Montana. Of course it's snowing in Montana. That's not even news. That's like saying, oh, man, look, it's hot in August. Yeah, we know. So I've been used to tuning these out. Today is one of the few times I've actually paid attention to one of these national news stories where they're talking about a huge snowstorm is going to be blanketing a big chunk of the country and affecting flights and travel and whatever. And these things are ridiculous. This is, what is this, a minute and a half from the Associated Press? This almost makes no sense.
A massive winter storm is threatening nearly half the country. More than 170 million people across the U.S.
Hang on, let's talk about the verbiage here. A major winter storm is threatening half the country. Threatening? This is a threat? I don't feel threatened. Should I be threatened when ice falls out of the sky? Is it really a threat when most of the country just goes on about their business and just manages? What does that even mean, a threat? A threat is if the guy standing next to you says, I'm going to punch you in the face. But I get to go out and make snowballs and build a snowman and, I don't know, maybe sled for the second time in my life. It doesn't really feel like a threat. Hyperbolic language means something here, though.
A massive winter storm is threatening nearly half the country. More than 170 million people across the U.S. are under winter storm, ice, or cold weather alerts as a powerful system moves from Texas to New England. Forecasters say the temperatures will plunge after the storm passes, with wind chills as low as minus 50 degrees expected in parts of the northern plains. At those levels, frostbite can happen in minutes. Where I am, in Detroit, Michigan, that dangerous cold is already being felt as this system pushes frigid air deeper into the Midwest. Today, it's in the single digits. Along with the cold, the storm is expected to bring heavy snow, freezing rain, and sleet, with some areas seeing over a foot of snow and up to half an inch of ice. That much ice can crush trees and power lines and lead to long-lasting power outages. Now, city and states are rushing to prepare. Hundreds of flights were delayed or canceled ahead of the storm, with major airports like Dallas-Fort Worth, Atlanta, Memphis, and Charlotte in its path. And schools across multiple states have already canceled classes or moved online. States like Tennessee have hundreds of salt and brine trucks at the ready. Texas officials say they have more than 1,000 pieces of winter weather equipment prepared. And Arkansas has 700 snowplows ready to deploy. The city of Jackson, Mississippi doesn't have snowplows, but it uses other heavy machinery like skid steers and small excavators to clear roads for locals. Thousands of workers have been put on standby across the country as officials warn residents to prepare for days without power. Residents can prep in many ways. They should stay off the roads when they can, stock up on food and basic supplies, and charge your devices ahead of time. Think about protecting your home. Be sure to insulate any pipes that are exposed to the outside and let faucets inside drip during these freezing temperatures so water can run through your pipes and protect them. Make sure to bundle up, hunker down inside safely, and be ready for long disruptions as the storm unfolds.
Why do they talk like that? You know, the news anchors on talk radio are conversational. It sounds like someone's just telling you what's going on. Like you bumped into your friend at the bar and you were like, hey, Kim, what happened today? Well, President Trump told these people at NATO that he's, rethinking our agreement. Talks like a normal person. She talks like, I don't know, the whole turn the page when you hear the chime like this. Or the people talk on the terrible PSAs. Hey, kids, go out and play in the forest. A forest is a good time where you can commune with nature and get some exercise. It's like, nobody talks like that. Could y'all just be normal? Do you have to be weirdos? Rick in Sherman, you're on WBAP. You got any advice getting ready for the cold, sir?
I do, James. I've listened to a bunch of people, and I know that one of the things is you don't slam your brakes on when you get ready to cross the bridge and you see that shiny tire track. Also, as cars pass through there and they compress that and it turns to ice, they also cause the sand, if there's been any put down, to migrate to in between your tires as well as the outside edges. So when you get to that bridge, move to the right or left, depending on what other traffic may be around you, and get your tires up on the side of the road and the center track where it's a little more crunchy and you'll have better traction.
Why do you sound so confident in all this? Are you not from Sherman? Are you from somewhere else further up north?
I grew up in Indiana, and I was driving on this stuff when I was 14 years old.
Well, good. We all appreciate you sharing some of that wisdom because we're not nearly as used to it as you are. So,
y'all are what I'm afraid of when I get out there. I'm not afraid of the ice and snow.
Well, you're right to be so. You should be afraid of me, Rick. I'm terrible at driving in ice. I've only done it like 10 times. I'm the one you're looking out for. Thank you very much. I can be self-deprecating. I know I'm not good at everything. I am getting some great feedback over here on the email. Brian gets credit here. Brian is the first one to send me a picture of snow that has accumulated on the ground. And it was in Fort Worth in front of Christ Chapel Bible Church over in the Cultural District. So Brian's the winner. Garrett, you have the scoreboard over there. Brian in Fort Worth, that's a touchdown. That's 7 points for Brian in Fort Worth. Rick over in Pass Christian, which is Mississippi Coast, he was saying, James, you may want to advise your listeners who think that the weather won't reach them that lots of the trucks that supply their groceries come from the north across icy roads, so stay warm. Yeah. So I was making the point earlier that if you're far south or especially southeast of us, you're not going to get a whole lot of winter weather, but that doesn't mean it won't interrupt your grocery experience because some of the trucks that supply you. Good point there. Blanca said she's originally from Indiana, just like our last caller. She's originally from Indiana, used to the cold. I just want to tell you, last year, because of my job getting in and out of my truck, my son bought me a heated vest that has a little rechargeable battery, and it works fantastic. I have that. Also, I bought just in case. You know, the hot hands, or they also have a thing for campers so that they have a bigger one. It's a body hand warmer. That's all I need to keep warm. I just don't want to freeze to death. I hate to think that I'm in Texas and froze to death. I could have done that in Indiana. Have a great day. So your email, Blanca, reminds me of I got to go. I'm running out of time. Well, I was going to tell just real quick. Before Christmas, I did a show on what are the top gifts for dad for 2025. And 4 of the top 10 were little warmers like that. And so a lot of them you can just plug in a USB-C and it'll recharge, or they have like a battery that you can take out and charge on a USB port, kind of like the little squares that you carry around to back up your phone power. But they have the heated vest now with it's a lined vest with the heat lines in it, and they have it for gloves and everything. And I was just thinking, man, some people just live in a different world. And this is the one time about every 5 years that we could use something like that, isn't it? 800-288-9227 if you have any ice advice for your neighbors as we get ready for the snow this weekend. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, homeowners. James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. Blue Ribbon Roofing is a local company, and I don't mean that it's a national company that has a local branch. I mean, it's John, Tish, and Trevor. It's literally a family company, and it's more of a family company than you think, because John and Tish both do Blue Ribbon. John will come to your house, throw up a ladder, and get on the roof himself. Trevor will help and oversee the actual construction work that's done on the house. But they also do like little side projects. Like if there's something else going on in your house that needs to be fixed before they can do the roof, they'll recommend you to a guy who does woodwork, or technically it was hardy board on my house. And the guy who does that, He's a friend of the family, and his daughter helps process. She works in the office of Blue Ribbon Roofing. So even the little contractors that they work adjacent to, they don't subcontract stuff out, but their peer-to-peer contractors that they have to rely on for other work around the roof, they have strong connections with them too. It really is just one big happy family, and that's why you can trust them, because they didn't come down here and put up a sign and they're going to be gone as soon as the next storm's gone. They don't chase storms around the country. They've been here for 30 years. They're going to be here another 30 years. And if you don't believe me, just go read some of the reviews online. And it all starts with you going to blueribbondfw.com, schedule your free inspection, and then they'll work out what you need, how to fix it, how to pay for it, and what all that entails. And you can make a decision going on from there. But the inspection doesn't cost you anything. It starts by you going to blueribbondfw.com. I think that counts as a dad joke there, Garrett. We're getting ready for the snow on the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and I'm joined by a radio legend, Jerry Reynolds, the car pro, coming back on to help give you some tips on keeping your car running smooth during the cold weather. Welcome back, Jerry. All right, Jerry, one of the debates that's been happening the last couple days on the James Show is some guy will call in and he'll say, you've got to add some fuel stabilizer or whatever it is to get the frozen water out of your line or prevent the frozen water in your fuel system. And someone else will send me an email a few minutes later saying, that's not even an issue till you get below like 20 below degrees Fahrenheit, 20 below zero Fahrenheit. And then other people say, you could just throw rubbing alcohol in there. And so we're getting a whole lot of different information on what to do about our fuel situation this weekend. What would you say? You're the car pro. Well, that clears that up, but they still sell the stuff in AutoZone down here. Easy money. So we don't have to worry anything about the fuel. You don't recommend any additives or doing okay. So there's also been a lot of differing advice on proper windshield etiquette. Now, the thing that my Miss Parker and I rely on is we get a regular cup of water. We don't heat it up or anything. It's just whatever the cold water that comes out of the tap, and you toss it on the windshield, and it seems to just go away instantly. But that doesn't seem to be something a lot of other people are recommending. A lot of people are saying you should put a towel over your windshield, or you should put a blanket over, or something to that effect. Do you have a preferred windshield remedy? You would say most people just use water out of the hose for their windshield washer? Oh, my goodness. People, don't be so cheap, because the fluid that you buy at O'Reilly's or whatever, that stuff's not expensive. Yeah. What else do we need to know to take care of your car during the winter storm this weekend, Jerry? All right, Jerry Reynolds from the Car Pro Show. You can hear him at 11 o'clock on Saturdays here on WBAP. And also, if you're looking to buy a car, go to his website, carpro.com. Thank you very much, Jerry. Yeah, I'll see you at 9 in the morning, too. All right, cool. Coming up, more advice getting ready for the snow. Is it snowing where you're at? Send me the picture if you can. Find me on Facebook or Parker at WBAP.com. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. Y'all ready for the snow? That's what we're working on today on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. If you got any advice for your neighbors, 800-288-9227. Back to the phones we go. Byron in McKinney. You getting ready for the snow, Byron?
Yes, sir. My wife made me stop at Costco in Plano on the way home. It's surprisingly empty here. There's not very many people, and it doesn't look like the shelves are picked over, so I'm pretty happy. But that's not why I called. I called because I need to help you manage your expectations for this snow coming up. I don't know that there's going to be just a whole lot of snow for building the snowman, man. It's all going to be ice.
Come on, man.
Disappointed.
Give me. Can you be a little more optimistic?
Man, but I just hope for the best, but be prepared. You may be like a skating rink might be a better idea.
All right, you're probably right.
All right, man.
Because my house is over, east of here a little bit, and so I think we might just get like 2 inches, and half of it's going to be crummy, just frozen rain, and we might have to make a mud man or something. It'd be half grass or something. Well, thanks a lot.
I just don't want those kids to be too upset because you pumped them up too much.
Oh, I've been gassing them up all week.
Kids, man. It's all about the kids, man.
It is. If you've got kids, it's all about the kids. If you don't have kids, it's all about not sliding off the road when you're driving.
There you go, man.
All right. Thank you, Byron and McKinney. You're probably right. Baden in Mineral Wells, you're on WBAP. What's your advice for the snow?
Hey, James. So I'm an AC and heat technician, and I just have a PSA out there for everybody with heat pumps, especially older heat pumps. So when you have a heat pump system, especially older ones, once you hit 35 degrees, your efficiency and ability to heat drops drastically, especially if we're getting into like 10 to 15 degree weather tonight. You want to go to your thermostat and make sure, unless you have a smart thermostat, most of them will do it for you, but make sure that your emergency heat is on. If you think it's expensive to run your heat strips, it is incredibly expensive to have your heat pump running when it can't heat.
So what's emergency heat?
Emergency heat is it's heat strips inside the air handler itself. Your heat pump is the outdoor unit. Just there's a reversing valve in it, switches the flow of refrigerant. So it's no different than when it's 110 degrees outside. An AC unit struggles a little bit. So your emergency heat is just electric heat strips inside the air handler. When you turn your emergency heat on, those will come on. Now, depending on the thermostat you have, especially smart thermostats, sometimes you get substitute heat where your heat strips will come on while your heat pump's running. But especially for older clients and people listening, you just want to make sure your emergency heat is coming on. You don't want to go to bed tonight and wake up and your unit be struggling.
All right, Baden, how do I test that?
If you just go to your thermostat, most older thermostats, the thermostats most people have, you'll have a switch, right? So it'll say AC or it'll say cooling or heating. Now on heat pumps, there's a third setting where it'll say EM heats or AUX heats. And you just turn it to that, and then your emergency heat will come on. Now, for people who don't normally run that, when you turn your emergency heat on, you will smell a slight burning sensation for a little bit. It's just the heat strips burning the dust off. It's nothing to worry about.
All right, good stuff. I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah, everybody needs to know about that because efficiency drastically drops.
At 35 degrees?
Yes.
What do you have at your house?
I unfortunately only have electric heat. So the people with the real fancy inverter systems, y'all are good. Those are heat pumps. That's good down to like negative 27. So y'all don't got to worry about it.
I got a fireplace too. That's sort of my backup heat.
Yeah. You always got to go old school.
Well, plus you get to play with fire, and that's part of the fun. And I tell Miss Parker, I'm like, well, look, this is just an efficient way. It makes a lot of heat, and it costs almost nothing. But really, me and the boys like to play with fire. That's the fun part. So.
Yeah.
All right, Baden. Thanks for the tips from the HVAC guy in Mineral Wells. Everybody stay warm this weekend because I'm getting some more pictures. Keep them coming. James at WBAP.com. I love to see the snow that's accumulating in the ground. The closest one to the WBAP studios here downtown still remains Brian from Fort Worth. If you want to send in your pictures of a winter wonderland or the closest thing we really experience here in Texas, send me an email, or it could be a Facebook message. It could be a direct message on Instagram or Twitter or whatever the heck you're on. Just send it in. I love seeing that stuff. More advice to get you ready for the cold weekend coming up on the James Show. Snooze Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there. Welcome to the James Show. Y'all ready for the snow? If you got advice for your neighbors, 800-288-9227. Right now, though, I forgot to mention this earlier. It's time for another edition of Garrett's World. Now, this one's a special one because last week it was Garrett's Journey to TCU Part 1. Today, it's Garrett's Journey to TCU. You'll never guess this. Part 2.
So this is a continuation of the story I began last week. As you may recall, last week focused on my parents' efforts to do what they needed to do in order to help me get into my dream school, Texas Christian University. Today, I will tell about what I then had to do. After my mom got the job in TCU Student Affairs Division, she reminded me it was now my responsibility to do what I needed to do in order to ensure I made it into my dream college. Over the next 2 summers, between my sophomore and junior years of high school, I began taking advanced college classes at Tarrant County College. I should also note I was, at the time, the youngest student from my school, Nazarene Christian Academy, to enroll in these courses, as no sophomore in high school from my school had ever done such a thing before. I'll be honest, at first, I was a little frustrated as, I kind of wanted to be on summer vacation, like all my other friends. As time went on, though, I began to understand the importance of these classes and how they would help me get a head start on my college career. The other, more important, and I'll be honest, much more tedious responsibility was my taking of SAT classes and the taking of said SAT and ACT. While my college classes were going very well and my grades were good, I did struggle a bit with wanting to prep for the SAT. Like I said last week, TCU is very difficult to get into, not just for its financial expenses, but also in its evaluation of SAT scores and a potential student's academic skills. As a matter of fact, when I met with Dean Brown of the admissions office, he told me not everyone who applies gets in. He went on to tell me that he didn't even let one of his own kids attend because he didn't feel he was ready for a 4-year college. So prepping for the SAT and getting a good score was pertinent to attending TCU. One time when I was procrastinating on my studying, my mom wasn't too happy about it, and she told me that being mediocre was not going to get me into TCU. She went on to say that God doesn't appreciate mediocrity either, and paraphrased a verse in the Bible where God says, "Because you are neither hot nor cold, I will spew you out of my mouth." This really resonated with me, and to be honest, kind of scared me. So needless to say, I was a little bit more motivated to prep for the SAT and better myself in all other aspects of my life. It was a long year and a half, and I began dedicating myself to my SAT studies, school studies, and extracurricular activities full time. In my senior year, I applied for early decision and submitted everything I needed, including a 1-page essay on how my life turned around after my mom gave me the mediocrity speech. It was a true period of uncertainty waiting, not knowing if I would qualify for acceptance. Then, one day, in December, my mom came home from work early, which was odd, but I didn't give it too much thought. Then I saw my dad come in, along with my grandparents, and bringing in TCU-themed festivities. I knew, in that millisecond, I had made it. We all shrieked with joy and laughter. My mom handed me the TCU packet that Dean Brown delivered personally to my mom at TCU that morning. I read my acceptance letter out loud and shared many hugs and tears with my family. It was truly one of the happiest days of my life and proved that with hard work and strong dedication, every dream you've ever had is possible. I spent the rest of my senior year on Cloud 9. After graduating, I got to participate in TCU freshman activities such as orientation, frog camp, and the like before moving onto campus in August. I know college is not for everyone, and no, you don't have to go to college to be successful, but it was something I always wanted to do, and as I said last week, I am truly blessed to have had that opportunity. I not only learned a lot about the film, television, and digital media industry, which is my degree in communications, but I learned a lot about myself in that 4 years and what I want out of life. I am happy to say I don't live in mediocrity, and I'm definitely a horned frog for life. And with that, go Frogs!
All right, that's the follow-up to Garrett's World. Can we get a Garrett's World that doesn't talk about how smart you are? Is that in all the episodes? Is that just part of the bit you've got going on here? No, that's the point. It's not humble. You just sneak in every episode. It's like, well, I got really good grades and I was the youngest person to be going to college for my school and academic achievement off the charts. And I got in even when this guy wouldn't let his own kid in. And so just pointing that out. If that's an ongoing joke, I like it. If you're doing that accidentally, look, you got to lower people's expectations. If you run around telling everybody how smart you are, they're going to like push back against that. If you act like you're dumb, like I do, just pretend like I'm just some hick that crawled out of a log cabin in the forest, which is kind of true, but I have read some books since then. Then when you actually say something that's halfway intelligent, people are impressed. See what I'm saying? Like it's an expectation. You got to manage your expectations. So, and it could work doing what you're doing, because Rush Limbaugh used to say, talent unknown from God, with half my brain tied behind my back. So that it can still work if you're going to do like the pompous thing, but I'm just pointing out that's one thing. Another thing is, and this is what we love about you in the office too, you're so optimistic. You're so positive. You're almost like a Disney movie with like a lesson at the end, because you're sitting there. And I learned that every dream you've ever had is possible. That's a level of naivete that's kind of sweet, actually, Garrett. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of young men who would like to be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Only one of them get to do it. It doesn't matter how hard they work. It doesn't matter how good their test scores are or how much they study or listen to their mom or if they go to the right school. No, every dream you ever have isn't possible. In fact, if you want to be a starting quarterback anywhere in the NFL and you're a chick, you might as well go ahead and rule it out because it hadn't happened yet. No, not every dream you have is possible. Garrett, you're never going to play in the NBA. I know, but if that were your dream. But I'm just saying, it's admirable that life hasn't beaten that out of you yet. That's pretty cool. But I really appreciate your affinity for TCU, because you hold a job that you could have gone fishing for 4 years and you would still be just as qualified to do this job. You could have followed around the Grateful Dead on tour. I think Jerry Garcia was still dead, but whatever the equivalent is, Widespread Panic or Fish or whatever, you could have just been in a hippie caravan for 4 years and still be in the same career position you're in now. So your love of TCU is all emotional. I don't think on a pragmatic sense it really puts you on your path. You don't know that. You might have discovered a love for radio while you're fixing a VW band behind a fish caravan in Wyoming. You don't know. Anyway, it's fun. I'm enjoying watching this because I see a lot of what everyone has to go through in their evolution. And I just look, my first year making bits, not my best bits. But I do see little glimmers of hope and promise in there. And I promise you come back in 1 year, this is going to sound completely different, and it's going to be better. Have you been thinking about doing man on the street bits, going out there with the microphone and just asking people who's the vice president and seeing what happens? Just catch some folks coming out of the Mavericks game. There's just a slew of people and say, look, answer one question, you get a koozie, and have a bunch of WBAP koozies and see what happens. Anyway, that's today's edition of Garrett's World. All right, coming up next on The James Show, more prep for the snow. I'll let you know some cold prep for your trees coming up next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Are you ready for the snow? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. You're listening to The James Show. I'll be back live from the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo next week, weather permitting. The show still goes on tonight and over the weekend. The rodeo is just not going to get canceled at all. Got a couple reports here. Let's start with our buddy Matt Brockman from the rodeo. WFAA went out and talked to him this morning about how they're getting ready for the cold. I played this earlier in the show. I just want you to listen to the part at the end because this is the part that I think we'll talk about after the show and a bunch of emails and Facebook messages. Conversations happen from the show. I think this is what I'm probably going to get the most amount of messages about besides the snow itself is this weird, what about the animals attitude?
Safety's priority one for us here, so for both animals and our guests. So here shortly, we'll deploy crews that will be putting out sand and salt on the pedestrian walkways and on the streets, right here on the complex and the surrounding streets. Clear that clear that ice out of the way and get things ready for people to be able to traverse across the complex and do so in a safe manner.
And you were telling me when the stock show's in January every year, in January and early February, so you're used to having to deal with weather occasionally. That being said, there's a lot of livestock out here. There may be some folks at home that are thinking about the animals. Sure. But they're in good shape here, you were telling me.
I'm glad they are thinking about them. We're thinking about them. Bear in mind, these are animals that come off the farmer ranch. They're genetically predisposed to deal with whatever Mother Nature may bring them. But when they get here, they're in a building. They've got clean, dry straw. They've got plenty of water. There's electricity there. Everything that animal needs to be. Well, there's just a lot of creature comforts that they're going to enjoy.
That cracks me up so much because Matt is so nice and diplomatic about it. But I don't know if I could be that nice. I'd be like, hey, listen, genius, cows are kind of designed to be outside. You know, like this is what they do. It's a thing called being an animal, actually. You don't have to live indoors in climate control in order to suffer. It's just a silly thing to say. I don't know why I know why it cracked me up so much because it's a really ridiculous question or statement. Someone read that. This guy read that on someone else's comments. Be like, that makes sense. Let me ask him about that. So I don't know. Matt's response is just perfect. Another clip from WFAA this morning I thought you would find useful is how to prepare your trees for the cold. Now, this is something that doesn't apply to everybody. But, the farmers and ranchers and people who actually own a yard with a tree in it might be able to get some help off of this.
And for some of you, protecting your home means checking on the trees around you. Weak branches over your roof or near power lines pose a threat. Morgan Young spoke with one crew about the precautions they're taking. She's live in the newsroom with all the details. Morgan?
Well, Izzy, absolutely, especially in Texas, where evergreen trees are very popular. These are your live oaks, magnolias, those trees we see in our neighborhoods that keep their leaves year round. The ice that comes from storms like the one we're expecting pack into those trees and really weigh them down. Then when it gets windy or if that ice stays there for a while, it can really stress those branches and cause them to break. Today, we were out with a crew from Texas tree surgeons, and you can see in some of this video, they were actually working to run a cable to help secure a branch that was hanging directly over the roof of this home. And here on your screen now, this is Amy Langbein Heath. She owns this company and is a master arborist. And she told me, at this point, it is too late for you to get your trees prepped for the storm. But there is one thing you can do right now to help care for them.
The only thing you can do right now is a deep water of the root system. And when I think of a root system, I think of anything under a leaf shadow. So it's called the root zone under the tree. And I like a really deep water with your hose. Soak it and it'll protect the fine roots and they'll be able to uptake more nutrients after the storm for the longevity of the tree.
All right, and another announcement here. The city of Dallas, starting at 4 o'clock, so just about 9 minutes ago, opened the additional warming center at Fair Park. This happens, I don't want to say often, but we get under 32 degrees every year pretty much. And so whenever this happens and it's going to be under 32 for a long extended period of time, whether or not there's snow, this extra space opens up. Because, when it's that cold, it could be fatal to sleep outside. So the inclement weather shelter at Fair Park's automobile building is what we're talking about. It's at 1010 First Avenue. If you're someone who's, I don't know, most people are like, this doesn't apply to me. I have a place to go. I have a home. Well, there's someone who's living out of their car right now who's just listening to WBAP because, they don't have a TV. And let's just not settle for that. Let's definitely not sleep outside. But if you do know someone who's homeless and you don't want to give them your living room or your garage, you can at least point them in the right direction and tell them to go to Fair Park at the automotive building. Now, Salvation Army also has facilities that are all over Dallas County, Tarrant County, Denton County. They're offering shelter, food, drinks. If you need to look that up, I'm sure your phone knows. But there's a nice rundown on DallasExpress.com where it has some different facilities. I told you about the biggest one here in Dallas, but they tell you where it's at for Arlington, Richardson, DeSoto, Fort Worth, a whole bunch of other places around the Metroplex. So if you do happen to be someone in that situation, don't risk it. I mean, seriously, sleeping outside or sleeping in your car on a night like tonight could be fatal. I know it's not awesome. I know it doesn't feel good to accept help and go into a shelter, but just swallow your pride and be a little more cautious this time around. Again, that list, DallasExpress.com. Coming up next, we're going to talk to a representative from TXU who's going to have some more tips to get you ready for the cold weekend. I'm James Parker. If you have any advice for your neighbors, 800-288-9227. We're just helping each other get ready for the snow this weekend on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. What's up, sports fans? James Parker here for the Prize Picks app, and I'm here to tell you about a special. Listen up. They're doing one of these maximum discounted squares. When you go to Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports is different than old fantasy sports. Old fantasy sports, you have to have a draft, and then you're stuck with these goobers the entire season, minus some trades here and there. But no, fantasy sports, daily fantasy sports means you could have different guys on your team every day. You just pick a lineup of 2 to 6 players, and one of them could be Sam Darnold. That's right. This quarterback for the Seattle only has to throw for 1 yard for you to win that square. Because all you do is go through their statistics and you pick out one of their statistics and just pick more or less on it. Well, the maximum discount they have on this one is 0.5 passing yards. So unless Sam Darnold goes and throws everything into the dirt this weekend, you're probably going to get that square. So I made another lineup. I took Jared Stidham, the guy who's going to be, he's the backup for Denver, but he's starting because Bo Nix broke his foot. And his passing yards was 198.5. Now, that's not a whole lot, but I picked less on that. So that's where I'm at. More for Sam Darnold, which is pretty much a gimme. Jared Stidham, less. And then we'll see what happens. I put up $25. If both of those things happen, I walk away with $75. It really is that easy on America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And if you're new, I can get you a little lanyap, a little bonus action to go with it. Download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. So download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups immediately when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. We're getting ready for the snow, or just really cold weather and some form of ice falling out of the sky. Here with some advice on how to be prepared from TXU Energy. Brenda Kahn's on the James Show. Is this, you knew you were going to be on the show. Are you showing up with a bullet point list of tips for us? Can you just like read through the list really fast and then we'll go pick through them one by one? Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the people that have to leave or they want to leave. They're gonna get the heck out of town. They're not gonna sit around in the ice. What do you recommend they leave their thermostat on if they abandon their home this weekend? Yeah, because that's a delicate balancing act for you guys. You don't want pipes to be bursting and causing more problems, but you don't want a big strain on the grid. So that seems like a nice little balance there. All right, so let's talk about the alternative heating methods. You know, the power goes out for some people. That means the heat goes out. Do you recommend any sort of alternative heating method? Do y'all have a preference? All right, Brenda Kahn going through TXU energy tips for the winter storm. Let's talk about when are we going to expect to get back to normal? Yeah, I probably should have phrased that a little better. I was thinking because, like, here, you know, when are you going to get back to normal? Well, we're on call over the weekend. I usually don't work on Saturdays and Sundays, but I will have to be on call and watch my phone and not drink a whole bunch of whiskey at 2 in the afternoon in case I do have to come on. And I think we are going off our emergency mode after Monday's broadcast day. And so I was just kind of, from TXU's point of view, I know you have a bunch of crews on standby. When is that dying off? That emergency measure dying off? Do people have to call in when their power's out, or do y'all have sensors that y'all already know? The distribution guys? Okay. All right, good stuff. Well, Brenda Kahn from TXU Energy, thank you very much for the tips for this weekend's winter storm. I'll try. To the phones we go. Elizabeth and Electra. Ooh, I want to talk to you because you're way up north and you're way up west. You already have snow on the ground, don't you? Elizabeth? Yeah, Elizabeth, go.
Actually, it should be snow. It looks white, but it's kind of like, it's like frozen snowballs. Like, you know that ice cream dot?
Yeah,
Kinda
it's like little
that.
pebbles.
Not that size.
All right, how about some tepid
I got
applause?
a quarter inch of ice on my windows. And, yeah, it's already coming down. So we're going to have snow eventually out of this somewhere at some time. So we'll all get to build a snowman.
I'm so jealous. For those of you who don't know North Texas geography that well, Electra is west of Wichita Falls, kind of on the Oklahoma line up there. And I feel like I'm from over a couple counties east, sort of the Tyler area. I feel like y'all get twice as much snow as we get.
Well, I wouldn't know that. We've not been here very long. My family is actually from down around San Antonio area, but we got like a good foot down there, or half a foot, something like that, back in 21, and so we had a lot of fun with that.
That's cool. Well, I get really jealous because a lot of times when these winter storms come through, the people up in the north and west get all kinds of fun snow time, and then we get to play with some half frozen mud for like half a day, and it's very disappointing. All right, are you going to get enough to make a snowman, you think?
I think so. I think we're all going to get enough, maybe. If it keeps going the way it is, first of all, it's early, but if it keeps going the way it is, yeah. Like, in the 10 to 12 minutes I've been waiting on the phone since I first called in, it's dropped 3 or 4 degrees, and it went from, like, spitting to, like, literally the dot ice cream style of, frozen snowballs.
All right, if you were to drive to Dallas from Electra, how long does it take you to get here?
I don't know. I haven't done that yet. People around here tell me about an hour and a half, 2 hours, but I wouldn't do that in this weather.
Yeah.
And if anybody's thinking about getting out of town, if you can get out of town, if you're loaded and you're going east, do it right now.
Okay.
And a half hour is going to be too late.
Okay, Electra is like 150 miles from Dallas, and the storm is going a little bit slower than you would drive. So we should expect to see some weather similar to what Elizabeth and Electra just described in about, 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? If something's going 20 miles an hour, how long would it take to get 150 miles an hour? However long that is. So 7.5 hours, if you want to be a dork about it. All right. Thank you very much, Elizabeth and Electra. If you do make a snowman, send me a picture.
Sure.
Yeah, all right. Fun stuff. I don't get to say that very much on the James Show now, do you? All right, coming up next on the James Show, you're not going to believe this. More snow prep. Yeah, we're getting ready for the winter storm. If you have any advice for your neighbors, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, parents. This afternoon, a whole lot of ISDs are announcing closings for Monday. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. We knew this was going to come eventually, and it turns out that Monday's going to look a lot worse than we thought it would at the beginning of the week. Here to spell it out with a lot more detail is DFW's only full-time radio meteorologist, Chief Meteorologist Brad Barton. Hey, thanks for coming back on the show. Sorry to make you work so much, but I mean, this kind of is your Super Bowl. So we were thinking at the beginning of the week, and in fact, I heard you talking about this a week ago, like on last Friday. We were expecting Monday to kind of be the thaw-out day. Now the thaw-out day looks like Tuesday. It's amazing how different the weather can be between Dallas and Fort Worth. At the very beginning of my afternoon shift here, I've been working doubles. I asked for whoever sends in the first picture of accumulated snow on the ground wins. And it was a guy from Fort Worth. And I was thinking it would be from somewhere up in like the Wichita Falls area, or, maybe even like someone on one of those Red River towns. But no, it was a guy from Fort Worth, Brian. And I'm looking out the window here at the American Airlines Center. We don't have any accumulation on the ground. So it's starkly different, just 30 miles apart. So I'm reading through some of the school closure notices, and they're all saying Monday we're canceled. We're going to make an announcement on Tuesday, on Monday. I'm thinking that announcement's going to be a big negative. I don't think they'll be ready to go by Tuesday. Well, and the impossible part of your job is you're trying to give out a number that's going to be vastly different from the people who are in the Northwest area than the people who are in the Southwest of our broadcast area. But it's so cool because I've been listening to you for decades, and now we get to do this together. And I'll be listening to you all weekend, Brad. Thank you very much, sir. All right, coming up next, I shared a few pictures on social media, the WBAP Facebook page and Twitter page, about some panic buying, and we'll get a good laugh at that next. 800-288-9227 if you have any advice for the winter storm. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, if you want to see something funny, go to the WBAP social media right now on the Facebook and X feed. I'm James Parker. It's the James Show. We're just getting you ready for the snow on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And I just went to check because I had seen on social media some other stores that had already had some panic buying here in North Texas. And I wasn't seeing big crowds or anything crazy. I was just seeing a lot of empty shelves. And it kind of blows my mind. I mean, worst case scenario, you're going to be snowed in or iced in or whatever it is for 3 days. You don't have 3 days worth of food in your house. You really don't. You would die or you would suffer if you didn't go get 6 loaves of bread right now. What are you going to do with all that bread? And why bread? What the heck's going on with that? Hey, let's go buy this stuff that's, I don't know, easily perishable. I really don't get it. And the toilet paper thing cracks me up. We did that during COVID. Remember when people just went out like zombies, like must buy toilet paper, and they would get all the toilet paper they could possibly fit in like 4 baskets and walk out. Is the number one concern at times of emergency, whether it's snow or hurricane or some infectious disease, everybody's worried about wiping their butt? It's kind of funny, actually. This is your concern, really? You're not worried about, I don't know, maybe getting a generator? Just getting toilet paper. And then the water. Now, in the panic buy pictures that I took, there's a Tom Thumb that's around the corner. Our studios are at the American Airlines Center here downtown. At the Tom Thumb over there, more than half of the bread was gone. I took a picture of that. More than half of the bottled water was gone. Toilet paper and paper towels. More than half of the paper towels were gone too. So I guess cleanliness, hygiene is of utmost importance for a bunch of people if it's about to snow. The water thing cracks me up. You're about to be surrounded by frozen water. You're going to have all the water you could possibly stand. You're going to have to walk through chunks of it. And you're going out and buying. Okay, I get it. All right. But this one lady, the one I saw with my own eyes that cracked me up, there was a lady with the cart, and not one of the little mini double-decker carts, the big cart. She must have had at least 6 of those giant entire packages, the big crates almost of water, to where the basket really only fits 4. And then she had 2 that were kind of bubbling up and sort of like TP'd on the top. Lady, what are you going to do with all that water? Is this how you're going to bathe? Because you could fill up a bathtub with that. What are you doing? It's kind of fun to watch. I really get a kick out of that. I don't know why it amuses me so much. But the irrational thing about human beings is what makes us human beings, and not robots, and not like an android like Data from Star Trek Next Generation. No, we do a lot of irrational things, and that's the funny part of it. But I shared some pictures with you, WBAP, Facebook, and X. If you see any funny pictures like that, send them in to me. If you make a snowman this weekend, I want to see that as well. I'm starting to get excited because me and the kids are going to get to play in the snow. It'll be the first time I get to play in the snow with my daughter, and really only the second time for my other 3 kids. My youngest daughter doesn't even remember seeing snow. She's seen it like once before, and she doesn't remember because she was too young, and it's so sad. So this is going to be a real fun weekend for me, but it might be a little bit of extra work for me too. We are on call because, Operation Stormwatch is now in effect officially. And so I might have to pop in, and if things are going a little haywire and there's some information that we think would benefit you, be sure we are going to pop into coverage and get you through this storm. Even if we have to do a little bit more work, it's not that big of a deal. So keep it right here over the weekend. All your activities are pretty much canceled anyway, unless you're going to the Fort Worth Rodeo. So just keep popping in, and we'll get through this together. Stick around. Coming up next, The Mark Levin Show. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP.